All right, after 2 solid weeks dominating the box office, Marvel's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will get some competition from the Downtonverse this weekend. Erik Childress, Movie Madness podcast host, joins us once again for our box office preview. Erik, thanks for being here. The second Downton Abbey movie hits theaters today. This movie, of course, is more for an older audience who haven't been as receptive to coming back into the theaters physically. So we saw this with West Side Story. How much of a draw is this franchise, which can technically still be seen on television?
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because, as you said, the adults have not really flourished back to the box office the way that a lot of Marvel fans and genre fans have. The one thing that could make an interesting wrinkle in this one is that a lot of the adult films that we've been talking about have been original adult films. And this one, obviously, Downton Abbey has a following, as a television following. The film a few years ago opened to $31 million, made $96 million domestically. So there definitely is a following for this. I don't know if, just the nature of sequels, the grosses will probably be down on this one, and maybe the adult factor not going to theaters will make it a little bit less. It's kind of hard to predict. I'm kind of thinking that it'll probably open somewhere in the teens this weekend, maybe in second place. But, maybe this is going to be the one that branches out. But we thought that with West Side Story back in December as well.
Sure. And so Downton Abbey is distributed by Universal, which has an agreement with movie theater chains like AMC that allows them to put their new movies on demand after 17 days if it doesn't perform well in theaters. How will this factor into the ultimate success? How is that measured? And what does this model mean for the industry in general?
Well, the 17 days thing is to remember, that's an option. It's not necessarily after 17 days of the film it doesn't reach a certain threshold, it automatically goes onto a streaming service. And not just a streaming service, but more video on demand. So it'll be available at home for usually a price of about $20. It's not just automatically going to a Netflix or a Hulu or something like that. And that's really the case with the studio Universal Focus Features, which is a specialty division of Universal. And they put out a lot of independent films, a lot of adult-oriented films, and those are the titles that need to find an audience and are just not finding it in theaters. This one will be a little bit of an exception. I think that what you see with the case with a lot of movies nowadays is that people are getting used to that waiting period. They're really understanding that if they wait a few more weeks, it's going to be available at home in some manner. And I think that adults especially are more akin to go like, well, I could go see it this weekend, or I could wait 3 weeks. And that could be the case with Downton Abbey as well.
Okay, so director Alex Garland's thriller Men is also out in theaters this week. He described the movie as more about the feeling of horror than a horror movie itself. What does that mean?
Well, I think in some respects, a lot of the way that this movie is being described, it sort of fits into what is known as a body horror genre. David Cronenberg films, if you're familiar with his body of work, sort of fits right into that mold. If you just keep saying the title over and over, you kind of get an idea of what this movie might really be about. But Alex Garland, who's done some really critically acclaimed science fiction films, including Ex Machina and Annihilation, returns with A24 for this movie Men. And I think it's going to be, I think genre fans are going to show up for this one. It's definitely a mind bender and a trip, and definitely not for the squeamish. It's not going to find a big wide audience, even though its ideas are big and very timely. But I think that you're going to see, it might make enough this weekend to get into the top 3, but don't expect any sort of sustained thing with this one. Even though A24 just had this enormous hit with Everything Everywhere All at Once, which has become the biggest film in their history, Men fits into their horror genres like The Witch and It Comes at Night, Hereditary and stuff like that. And I think it's going to find its audience, but it's a very specific audience.
Sure. All right. Well, Erik Childress, Movie Madness podcast host, as always, we appreciate you being here. Have a good movie weekend.
Thank you. You too.